Rocking Chair Session. With Elisa Di Battista and Maria Teresa Barber.
Hi everyone, and welcome to RCS Rocking Chair Sessions, Volume 32 with Ananda DeMello. Welcome, Ananda.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Very well, now that you're here.
Oh, stop it. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I'm excited to have you. You are our second curator, I believe.
Our second or first?
Because we had Barbara, yeah, official.
But that's
full-time.
it. I don't know that I'm a full-time curator.
Are you?
Anymore.
What are you?
I mean, I've sort of grown into this cultural producer, manager person more than shows. Actually, it's been quite a little bit that I put a show together.
When was the last time you put a show together?
Pinecrest Garden.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago. Time sort of distorts itself, so I don't know. It could have been 3 or 4. Yeah, it's more than 2. So it was a show that I did at Pinecrest Garden. And then sadly, I mean, I remember because I hurt myself. And at the takedown of that show, I was in knee surgery. So I was like, hey, artists, please go pick up your pieces. Sorry I can't be there. I had surgery on my knee like yesterday. And so I remember because of that. And I don't think one thing had anything to do with the other, that I hurt my knee and I stopped making shows. Maybe that's not the connection, but because I still produce exhibitions, but not in a curatorial sense.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about art for habit? And is that more the direction that you're...
Make Art Habit.
Make Art the Habit.
Make Our Habit.
.com.
Check it out.
That's it. So Our Habit and Make Our Habit is website, email, social handle, because Our Habit wasn't available. But so the company, I developed it as Our Habit. And that was my thesis project for my master's, which is in art management. So the way that the program worked, it was a communications degree, and that you had to pick an organization and solve an internal problem they have. And I've worked in all different sectors. I've done not-for-profit, commercial galleries, corporate events. So looking at the whole thing, and I have a lot of artist friends. And they seem to never really make their living as artists. Very few do. So I was like, what is something that, so that's what I saw as a problem in the art industry as a whole. So Our Habit was developed as a social business that's in between, it's a bridge of a not-for-profit and a commercial space, because you still make money, you have revenue, but that sort of rotates into expanding your reach and dealing with the social issue that you point or you want to address. And that was it, helping artists making money with some art related thing. So then the idea is to connect artists with the event industries. And Jason, who was one of your first guests, is
Volume number two. Check out.
There you go. Jason was part of it from the beginning, and so we worked together with a lot of, different caricatures. We did the Pam Gala. We have some boutiques that call for the artists to come do pretty portraits and their jewels, and so that's one aspect of it. And then the other one is working directly with the artist and art spaces to sort of help them manage things so they can focus their attention or on making in case of the artist, or if it's a gallery, selling or whatever else. So it's that assistance, make things happen, and we could keep all working and doing what we like, no?
It's like the dream of every artist, right? To have a person who is just taking care of the rest and you can just make your art. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, well, I think when you go to art school, basically, I mean, you might have 1 or 2 classes that'll be very short and brief in terms of what the reality is as an artist, supposed reality, how you should approach galleries, or how you should write, your artist statement and talk to people and curators. And so I feel that what you're doing is not an expansion of that, but it's actual, it's educational for the artist, but it's also beneficial, and you're almost like an agent for the artist. You're representing them in a positive way, that it's not you taking a certain, I would say like percentage just to take a percentage, but it's like more or less you want to see their growth, you want them to develop,
That's it. That's
you want
what
them
it's
to
all
make a
about.
livelihood.
And to realize also that the gallery path isn't for every artist. It would be ideal, if every artist had a great gallery representing them. I don't think it happens. So what do you do then? Rebola is what we say in Portuguese. You gotta go with the flow, make it move, make it happen. So that. And it's been interesting because in a sense, I've been finding out ways, because it started as the thesis project, and I was like, well, now let's make it into a business. And it's sort of shifted. Now I'm working with galleries. Before I worked more with artists, so it's organic.
Why do you think that shift happened? Like, was it just that galleries were more in need of your help, or they were more able to afford you also, or?
Maybe that, and it was part of the job that I was doing sort of fit into that, and maybe that's why I haven't curated much. I think I geared myself into it. And one artist in particular that I work a lot with, he's a Santa Fe-based sculptor, Gino Miles. I started going to a lot of fairs with him, assisting him in production with his art, or even production of a show. We had him here at the Bakehouse during the last December because we came from SOFA in Chicago, and he's in Santa Fe, so he drives most of his things. So he went to Chicago, and then it made more sense than going back home and then coming here 2 weeks later. We came to Miami, so it's part of, logistics of a truck, of a space, and when we're at the fair and the forklift, and he has his galleries too, but so it's that sort of, I like setup. That's what it is, I think. That's why it changed. I enjoy the tool, dirty pants, dusty, yeah, that was just fun. And the other part of the gallery is also good, hosting openings and things, but pretty social. And then in this building that we're in, the Bakehouse Art Complex, here you could do it all. It's wonderful. This place is really special.
It is.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your past?
You've been a curator at the Bakehouse.
I did. So my story with the Bakehouse started. There was a boy, and he had a studio outside, and that's how we came, and the outside artists will now tell you this is no news. It's hard to get people back there sometimes.
For the open studio.
For the open studio. So
no
what
one
do you
knows,
do?
Yeah.
You get a keg, you start a party, you put sculptures out. People will come. You make it, they come. I'm telling you because I know from experience. And Lauren was the curator here at the time.
Lauren and her last
Lauren
name?
Wagner.
Lauren Wagner.
Lauren Wagner is now in New York, I believe. So we had the studio outside. We started organizing little things just for open. Let's everyone come out. Let's put sculptures. We put light. And then she left. She moved away, and it was sort of a natural shift. I heard that the position was open. Applied for it. Arliss Raymond was the director at the time. And then I had some fun times playing in this space. I mean, there are like 60 studios now, and sure people listening sort of know a little bit, and if you don't, Bakehouse has workshops, the whole story. It was an old bakery. I used to tell this story 5 times a day. We have 60 studios, common work areas, outside, blah, blah.
You were giving all the tours, right?
Yeah, exactly. People came in, and I was putting the shows together then. At that time, the shows at the Bakehouse were very Bakehouse-centric. So I got to play around once a month, or twice a month, because there were the 2 galleries. I changed shows every 3 weeks. I had 2 shows to do, and I would go around and shop in people's studio for art. It was awesome. It was awesome. It really was like nice. And then it's a not-for-profit. The full-time staff was like 3 people, you know, so you get to wear a lot of hats. And it opened up, yeah. I mean, even for myself, possibilities of doing things that I didn't think I would be interested in. Mm-hmm. And that's part of also the hosting. Here you do everything. You had to wear all sorts of hats. You hang, you paint.
You do the marketing, you do
the marketing, you're right. People come here, you're making sure that they're comfortable. You have wine, let me walk to the bar, let me show you this person's studio, the whole thing. Fantastic, it was so good. And I was here for about 2 years. Before I started, I had done all my coursework for my master's. Then the position came in and I was like, this is better than school. This is what's up. And then I never did my thesis. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna take the summer off and I'm gonna write a thesis.
You did nothing.
I did not write a thesis. I did not even touch the thesis while I was here. And not to say anything, but I was involved and committed. And so I needed to take the time too. And I was like, I need to finish this thing because it's dragging. And it's become like an embarrassment. People would ask me, they're like, so, oh, you still in that thing?
Are you done yet? Are you done yet?
Yeah, no. And I would say, and they're like, nah, no one cares. Like, we're over it. Just tell us when you actually do something. And even after I left work to sort of dedicate myself to being a student, a scholar, I'm gonna write a thesis. I was like giving birth. It took a while. I think I changed topics maybe 3 times. And that's when the idea of Art Habit came up. I was like, the 2 topics I had before were sort of, ideas to get this paper done. And it ended up being like, 100 pages. It's not something that you just, I'm just gonna spend some time doing this and I'll move on. And so I never did it until I got into what I completed with, and it was.
But I mean, it's also like pretty awesome that you had all this quote unquote research at the Bakehouse. I mean, you had 2 year
so
hands-on experience with all the artists that come through. And I mean, we have artists at the Bakehouse that are really emerging artists, mid-career artists, and then usually they wander off somewhere else when they are really successful.
And that's the point of this place is to sort of have a space that everyone could use, and you take what you need from it and grow and spread your wings.
And
Where did you go to school? Like, where did you get your master's?
I went to FIU for my bachelor's for public relations, and my master's was in St. Thomas University. Yeah.
And your master's was in
art management.
Art management.
Yeah. It was also a communication degree.
Which would make sense for art management. You have to communicate to people.
Right. And you have to communicate with artists. Love all of the artists, I do.
But you have to learn how to communicate.
But that's it, You have to be sensitive to certain things that most people don't
realize.
Don't realize, and maybe don't even, I don't know, evoke that emotion within themselves. Artists are a special bunch, totally.
Yeah.
And that was my idea, and people ask me, they're like, oh, are you an artist? Up until this day, they're like, I don't know what you make. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't make things. I've never felt inclined to create something visual. I always thought curating was my creative,
When did that begin for you?
Curating?
Like the desire to bring people together, to curate, to manage, like, more or less. Were you
when I was finishing, I was at FIU. going to school for public relations. My dad he's a very particular kind of man. He's always told me, he's like, just do something that's good for you. It doesn't mean that this is what you're committing your life to. You know, once I graduated high school, it's like, I don't know what I want to study. I don't know what I want to do. And I'm a people's person. I'm a chatterbox. And it was like, public relations. That's great. You can apply it to anything. All right. Oh. Into public relations. And towards the end, when I was finishing, that's when I realized that the agency type of public relation and the over commercialization of things and the selling and the pushing and public relation can be a lot of shoving things you don't need down your throat, and we're gonna make you believe that this is gonna make you feel better. And I realized, and I was like, well, that's not what I wanna do. That's not what I wanna do at all. So, how do you apply that into something good? Well, let's work with creativity, with, culture, and that's how it came about. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm wondering, I'm trying to picture you as a child, Ananda. I'm like, were you chatting and organizing parties, or being very what were you? Where were you when you were small? How did that look?
I was awkward as shit, man. My hair did this thing, and my parents gave me the most awful haircuts. I really, I grew up sort of into myself. I was lanky, always too long, too skinny, can't catch a ball if you no, it's gonna hit my face, for sure. And I had this haircut that was short bangs, and it was we cut, I don't know, a little bob, but my hair isn't straight, so it looked nothing like a bob. It's a sort of a short wave helmet that one side turned into my face, into the cheek, it was the perfect side, and then this was just wild. It would come out I'm telling you, it would short, so it would raise itself. It was ridiculous. I look at some pictures now, I'm like, come on, Mom. So, and I came here when I was 13 to Miami.
And you came from Portugal?
Brazil.
From Brazil?
From Brazil. Yeah. My dad came. He came in 96, brought my older brother in 97, 98 came the rest of the gang. Yeah.
That's nice. Do you know why he selected Miami?
Yes, I actually do. He was a landscape architect, and he exported plants from Brazil, and he had clients in Miami and in San Diego. I guess it was the two sort of climates. I don't know. San Diego, I guess it's much different than Miami, but where we're from in Brazil, it's in the state of Rio. It's not Rio de Janeiro. It's in the mountains, Nova Friburgo. And it's a little bit colder climate. So he went to visit both places. He decided to go for the American dream, leave Brazil, and went to San Diego, came here, and San Diego was just too far to go visit. It became too much of a trip to go back to Brazil. So he picked Miami.
Proximity,
yeah.
It's kind of cool.
How was that as a 13-year-old to be kind of transferred?
That sucked. Middle school
13,
kids are really
it's kind
mean.
of
No, and the thing is too, 13-year-old in Brazil, and I mean, kids don't do that, but I used to go out, sort of try to steal my mom's beer, had a little boyfriend and walk home from school. I was in a small town. I owned the town. I get here to Palmetto Middle, where some kids had dolls. And I'm like, what in the hell, man? You're a teenager. Hello. They were not teenagers yet. And maybe that's, I don't know if I grew up faster or whatever the case. So, yeah, going to middle school was weird. I didn't like it.
Was it a culture shock? Since you basically, the way you describe your experience back in Brazil, you owning the place, it feels like you had, obviously, some sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? You felt very comfortable there, and like this ability to, I'm sure, also like socialize, like you say, go out with your boyfriend that you had at the time. How did that translate over coming
like
here?
Held hands and pop kiss, but we would go to the movies and he would buy me popcorn. I didn't have a chaperone. You know what I mean? Like we did these things alone. It sucked. It was weird. I remember we went to Palmetto, so we're in Pinecrest, and the falls was sort of that thing that like your parents drop you off and then you could walk around and meet your friends and have ice cream.
Was it a culture shock thing for you?
Yeah, totally.
Did you speak English at all?
No, zero. Oh. Zero. Kids are brutal when you're like, and I'm telling you, I was awkward. I was still awkward at 13, and now I'm awkward in a place that I can even like find the other awkward people. You know what I mean? Because at least if you communicate, you find your little clique.
Yeah.
And everything is good. No, middle school was a little rough. But my older brother, had been here before for a year, and he had met all of these Brazilian people. So he had a little clique of Brazilians that they were like his age. My brother's 5 years older than me. And I would tag along. My dad would say, "Take your sister." And he's like, and I would go. So that's a lot what we did. One of my best friends till this day, we met, and probably right around the time I got here, even our brothers took us to the movies at the falls. That's it, yeah. I remember the movie we watched, and I think it was Mighty Joe Black. It was like a monkey thing, like a big monkey. Charlize Theron saves this like massive monkey or something. So that made it a little bit better, having my brother come before. Because he sort of also owned the town in where we're from. Small town. And he had all of these Brazilian people in his grade in school.
Oh, so that helped too, because they were like...
Right,
yeah.
He found his little, his group.
His niche.
He found his niche, yeah.
And when you where you went to school, you feel you hadn't found that yet. Were you the only person who spoke Brazilian?
There were there was brother, 2 brothers and a sister, but it's all the classes are different. That's the thing too, because in Brazil you have one class.
Yeah.
You switch classes with the same class. I was in that class for like some people since I don't know, kindergarten almost. So you know people. This thing, you just go in the hallway, bunch of kids, kids running around with big backpacks. Why do you have to carry so many books?
Flashbacks.
Yeah,
That's
flashbacks.
I feel like that's a big difference between in Austria, for example, too. I was in a class with my best friend from kindergarten, 4 years elementary, and then 8 years like junior and high school. That was like 12 years in school together in the same class,
right.
Plus kindergarten, until like we graduated from high school. Wow, that was like the only one I was together
time.
all that time. But then there were others you were together for 8 years, right?
It's a beautiful bond,
and it's like you even if it's like still you have all this dynamic going on, and you have like, but still you kind of work together. You're kind of a group, and you have this stability in a way. And in the States, it's like, I never went to school here, but that's completely, I mean, just university, not like high school. Mm-hmm. It's like completely different. You went to school here.
Yeah, every year they switch you up, but eventually the body or the pool and you have certain classmates, sometimes you do get repeats within your same grade level.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's always like a fresh, I don't know, it depends on the size of school. So,
right, like my graduating class was 300-400 people.
Oh really? I had like almost 1,000.
Wow. Oh shit.
Yeah,
I thought 300 was a lot.
No, my high school had 4,800 students.
Oh my God. I had 48.
Girl.
Right. And you know all of those 48.
Of course.
I had 300. I don't think I knew 15 of them. I mean, you say hi or whatever. You don't make friends. You don't develop these sort of long-lasting bonds. Yeah.
Wow. So, have you ever thought of going back to Brazil or like leaving Miami?
Or has Miami just grown on you?
Yeah, Miami grew on me. Miami's home. Miami now is home. It took a really long time for me to feel at home, and I would always want to go back. But now it's like, and yes, I would leave Miami because I think I've developed such a bond that I could leave and it'll be here. I have my older brother now has kids. He has twins. My nieces, they're adorable. And my parents are here, and I think they realize that this is sort of the home base. If you go away, I have a sister that moved out to the Keys, but Thanksgiving now we're all meet at the parents' house. It's nice. So I would leave. I don't know that I would go back to Brazil.
Where do you think you might go?
Oh, I don't know.
Hypothetically.
Now I'm pretty open. I'm like, I don't know. In the U.S., to Europe, somewhere else. If the opportunity comes along. I don't have this thing people have with Miami that they need to get the fuck out of here because this fucking place sucks. I've made peace with that. Right? I think a lot of people have
I think you have both. I think you have individuals that are like Miami 305 till I die, and they want to just be completely buried here. And then you have people that want to go see the world, reach out, and then come back home. So you have both spectrums, I feel. Yeah.
And going out and seeing the world is always a good thing. So that's why, I don't have a place that I want to, that's where I'm going to live next year. Now, we'll see what happens, but I need to open up. Now, Miami's also a specific kind of place, and you only realize it once you get out of here.
Absolutely.
You could go as far as Fort Lauderdale, it's already different.
Or Hollywood.
Yeah, right, exactly. Or Hollywood.
Such a different world.
Yeah.
It is. It totally is. I just remembered that you totally curated a show. Even this year, you did a show with Sarah Henderson.
Oh, shit. I did do that
Right?
one. I did. Oh, Sarah. Super love to Sarah. Shout out. Didn't forget.
Volume number 4, by the way.
Yes. And that was in a wine shop that it's very dear to my heart. I've been friends of the family for a while, that opened up in Miami Shores. Lucio Coffee to Wine. So Fernando Calçadilla, who is Eliza's husband, and Eliza is Lucio's mother, here's a family tree, was my performance art professor at FIU as an elective.
And wow.
Yeah. So maybe Fernando sort of shook me up a little bit. That class was cool. That was a really nice class. It was his first class that he did when he moved down to Miami from New York. And now just last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I did a workshop with him, a Rasa Boxes workshop. And he's a performance artist, and he does theater production. So Rasa Box is this like emotion workshop for actors that you divide 9 emotions that you could sort of tap into, and it's like literally boxes on the floor that you jump around changing emotions. It was nice.
Pretty cool. And then so Sarah's was a few months ago. I went to that opening.
Yeah, we went to that. That was a beautiful show. It was really, really great.
Oh, good.
With the wallpaper
and her wallpaper.
So good.
Mesmerizing.
And the images.
Yeah.
Really
So
good.
that's it. You see, that's why sometimes I don't even think of curating. I play around with artwork. Because that's what she did. She was like, do you want to help me? And I was like, yes, I want to help you. I suggested that they call her. So at the store, they changed the shows. And I was like, Sarah. And we actually did change the date of her show because I would be out of town and wasn't going to be able to hang it. And I was like, oh no, we're doing this.
It was a beautiful show.
Oh, thank
and I
you.
have to say, like, all the artists that we talked about here at the Bakehouse that experienced you as a curator have very, very fond memories
And
of
pleasant
you.
experience,
and also kind of like this feeling of general like support, that you were. I remember Ernesto Kunde talking to us about the shows that he was able to do, and that was really important for
his career.
We did a really cool show in the Swenson Gallery. And it was like, I think one of the last shows that I did before I left. and we stacked his paintings. Nothing was on the wall, and we sort of created these hallways. He has these pieces that are 5 by 6 feet, and he had a few of them. Ernesto paints like a madman, and he ended up with this entire inventory that we sort of created this little colorful piece of Everglades in the gallery. It was nice.
I think that's so great.
And things were stacked on each other, and they were like zigzagging and stacked, and like we had a few with like nylon that were hanging in front of the pieces. We put some different, we tilted them.
And you're there during the process of like trying to figure out how to hang it, or did he more or less have a vision, or is it like you say, it's a play? It's you're in there with the artists and their pieces, and it's collaborative. Like how is it?
I'm all in there. I mean, and he knew that he wanted the pieces on the floor. And I guess the way we need, that's it. You're like, all right, let's do pieces on the floor, but they support each other. How do they support each other? They can't go in a straight line because it will fall. We made it a point not to like attach anything to the wall. And I think at some points we sort of put some like safety things, you know, like, whoa, if it goes down, this will hang it. Yeah, but it was a process. And especially here, super hands-on. There was, like I was saying, the shows at the Bakehouse were very Bakehouse centric. And there's part of curating within the limits of the work that you have. You know, if at that time I decided to do a video show, well, fuck, you're shit out of luck. You don't have any video artists. You know, so I sort of curated within the artists I had. And when I came in, there was already a scheduled lineup. And there was this watercolor show. Yeah, okay. Look around, there are like 3 people that do watercolor. All right, what do I do now for a show? So then I went into Marcelo, who was another Brazilian that was here, dear friend, he's now in New York, Marcelo Del Doce. And he had stacks of like portraits of like figurative drawings that he would do, studies and things, stacks. We covered the entire back wall of the gallery in nudes. It was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome. And then there was a fun little thing that, so this is why I tell you I'm playing. He had in there a picture of a rooster. Out of all of the animals, and I hung it, of course, and the thing would be like, all right, now you gotta find the cock in the wall. They're like, dude, there are cocks everywhere, everyone's fucking naked. But then there was this little rooster in the corner. That was my sort of joke within the thing. I'm like, how do you make this exciting? Because then that was also the thing. If you're curating the same artist over and over,
how do you change it up?
How do you change it up? People get bored. Sometimes I got bored, you know, so then I would come up with these stacking paintings and a wall of nudes and whatever else we did here. Yeah.
Thinking outside the box.
I love the energy with. I can see how the artists like working with you because I feel like you bring a really special energy to, you know, that this also playfulness and lightness. Yeah. But I feel like sometimes artists, you know, we're like so stuck sometimes in our own like little worlds where we take everything so serious with our work and, you know, installing our work. It's like Elisa has a show coming up, by the way. December 2nd is the opening in Coconut Grove, and I'm already like, I offered her to help her to install, and I'm already shaking in my boots because she's taking installation very serious, you know, and it's like,
don't embarrass me.
And there's also something about having this sort of light and fun attitude, but respecting that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a joke. And the work is serious, and you handle it with respect, and you want to show it to the best of your ability to make it look as good as you can. That was always my thing. How do I make your pieces look good?
Yeah.
That's how I curated.
Yeah.
This is what I have. What's the best way to present all of it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know, so, and maybe that's, you know, it was sincere, and the artist that's probably what they felt too.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it brings like another energy to that often like fearfulness to put a show together. It's kind of like you're exposing yourself, as an artist.
Right.
And I feel like as a curator, you're close enough, but you're not so close that
we're detached from
every dust particle is like so important. You're like more detached from the process probably that it took to create it, or
more detached too from the emotion that the artist has with their own piece, because that's unique to everyone. Like I would never feel what you do when you make a piece. I'll take my own conclusions from it and my own reactions as an spectator, which is a totally different thing to bring it to life.
I want to go back a little bit to the work that you are doing now, and also to kind of like the art world in general at the moment,
and how you feel it's transferred over the past.
It's
because when I met you, it was like 2009. We're almost 2018. So how do you feel it's changed in the past like 10 years?
No, and it's interesting because it was at that time that I sort of started entertaining this idea of working with art. Miami, in its own, we could say, and I mean, I don't know that I could talk about the state of the art world in the last 10 years globally, nor would I dare to say I know, but Miami has transformed into something else. And in each step of the way, and I think maybe this is why I found myself in different positions too. It's ever shifting.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and besides the physical location of it, that's one aspect, and now it's so fair-based, and physical spaces need to be, I think they're going to be more alternative and finding out different funding sources. And do you need a brick and mortar white wall gallery? That's not the solution for for a lot of people. And then you go to fairs and the expenses of both of them are quite astronomical. It's incredible to see what happens behind it's really interesting. So with our habit, I've been consulting with different galleries, different artists. That's what's interesting to see how they're different. I don't want to say tiers or scales or anything, not that it's one on top of the other, but it moves in a lot of different parts. And I think that's what I've noticed happening too, sort of widening itself to fit into the community, or they had Common Fields here, was a conference for alternative artist spaces. And a lot of the alternative artist spaces are artist run. So it's artists sort of realizing too that the way that it used to always be, you get a gallery, now from your gallery represents and sell your works until you're placed in a museum and your prices go up, and from your museum show you become part of different collections. It still happens, and I think it's probably a trajectory to aim for, because you can't stick to it you just get disappointed. I don't think that opportunity is out there for all artists. So I think it's definitely change. I mean, it's in constant change. That's what it is. That's what I felt in Miami. And that's it. We've done so many different things since.
Yeah, it's just completely evolved.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know what it'll look like in 5 years. I don't know what it'll look like in 10 years. I imagine there will still be more fairs, but I'm not sure in terms of local art-based.
There's so many art fairs.
Yes.
I mean, how many satellite fairs do we have now? And that's what I think happens, is they find something that works until it becomes so saturated that it implodes.
Yeah.
And that's it. What is going to be the next thing? What's the next 5 years?
But I was just in San Francisco, and I was visiting a gallery there. Wendy Norris, one of the more prestigious galleries there, and they decided to close their gallery space and just move to an office because their artists are already in a lot of museum shows, and they are doing a lot of things internationally, and they said, well, we don't really need the gallery space there.
Yeah.
Obviously San Francisco is getting really expensive too. I mean, that's not what they said, but still, I mean, you can imagine that.
Oh, I'm sure it plays a part.
And then as a gallery, it's almost more lucrative to be in the fairs than show your work in your hometown, where people are maybe not buying as much anymore, right? It's like more, maybe easier to sell it at a fair, or I'm not sure.
Elsewhere, and that's what I think that's why galleries are going to different places, you know. So this year, I don't know if this year, I was in New York for a fair, I was in Aspen for a fair, the year before I was in Chicago, and fairs are happening, I would dare say, probably every other week. If you look at the country, you can find an art fair somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? It's a lot. And then there are galleries that sort of follow a certain circuit, and you start to know which fair groups have what fairs, and
Where do you see yourself moving into, like, for the next, let's say 10 years? Where do you feel like you fit in the best, or you want to be?
I like the idea of providing a space that's, again, with the same thing that I felt with public relation, and that's why. And I enjoy fairs very much. I have a ton of fun going to fairs.
I can totally see you. Yeah.
And then the setup and the booth and the crates and the moving everything around. You know.
You did Art Miami here too a while back, right?
I did. No, Art Basel last year, December, Art Basel week in Miami. I think I had like 5 different. This year is going to be again crazy, and to try to keep up with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, please don't fall asleep. Non-commercial alternative space for exploration. That's what I would like to do. And it could be something that I'm probably in a directorial type of position. Make
Sounds
things happen.
good.
I know, I like it too.
Sounds very good.
And then little by little, you know, one of the thesis projects that I started and didn't do was sort of developing a space. And I was like, when am I going to develop a space that I don't have a space for, and it's not going to happen? This is not practical. I'm going to spend time doing research, make something that makes sense, that you know, that I myself could make work. And so, maybe that was a little bit of a rant answer, but there it is.
Yeah, I think that's...
I think was the right answer.
Because I feel like this is really gonna be the problem, and I also talked with friends in San Francisco, same problem there. If you want to have like a project space, you know, or like, you know, centered on like the artwork, the problem was always gonna be, how are you gonna finance that, right?
That's it.
If you have a commercial, because if you have a commercial gallery, then, you know, if you have to be making money, you can't always show the work that you want to be showing. You don't have the liberty to put up installations with wallpaper that you're probably not going to sell, you know, because it's not going to be able, people don't want to commit to having, like, you know,
I have Sarah's wallpaper in my house, by the way.
You can sell it, right? But you know what I mean. It's kind of like you're so restricted to kind of like a specific size, a specific like how much it's gonna cost, you know, and what market it's gonna fall into.
And this idea of alternative, not only in the terms of the space, but maybe it's not even a space. It doesn't have, you know what I mean? You take shape in different places, outside. Get art to the people.
Yeah.
You know? Because there's a lot of conversation of like...
a non-space space.
How I make art more accessible, and how do we communicate? Speak people's language, you know? Talk to them directly. That's how you communicate, by communicating.
Yeah.
Do just that. And then it's one step further. They may not get what you're trying to say right away, but you need to open that conversation.
Is your time almost? Okay, good. I want to ask you, you mentioned Art Basel last year was crazy for you. Art Basel is upon us. It's a month away.
It is.
And when I say a month away, I basically mean like 2 weeks away.
Right, and with Thanksgiving in the middle.
It's
tomorrow.
basically tomorrow, yeah.
Oh, is today Tuesday? No, today's Monday.
Today's Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, but please go with your question. The day after tomorrow, I'll make a little announcement.
The day after tomorrow. Yeah, so we were curious more or less, like, or at least I was curious, I know Maria too, like what's coming up for you for Basel? What do you have like going on? What's on your roster? Like what?
So now at the moment I'm working with 2 galleries, Spinello Projects and Clima Art Gallery. Spinello Projects here, local, it's been around for, the 10 plus years, 13 I think it's the count. There we have an opening on Wednesday. No, November 22nd, locals only preview.
Maria Teresa's birthday.
Yes, I'm gonna crash the party because it's gonna be my birthday party there.
Lovely. Okay, I'll make sure to have some special for you then. So there are 4 solo projects there. We're now like head in production for those, and then Spinello is producing a all women. Well, Spinello and a whole wide range of collaborators and partnerships, an all-women non-commercial art fair in Brickell City Center. I just said. And then Clima Art Gallery, they're a Brazilian gallery, opened here last year, and they're coming. We have a solo show that we're just talking about shipping and the things coming from Brazil and when they arrive, and we need to make sure to be there, logistics. And they're going to be at an art fair too.
Wow.
So
it's a lot of stuff going on
it's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but it's exciting
stuff too.
It's a lot of stuff. Yeah, it really is a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then in Brickell City Center, the lineup.
It's gonna be
so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Guerrilla Girls.
Yoko
Ono.
Yeah. I mean, the
it's
list
gonna
keeps
be
going.
and it's gonna be the fair dot, right? The fairest fair.
Just
fair. Yeah.
It's fair. Mm-hmm. Simply. Period.
Yeah.
Done.
I'm so
Done.
excited
Right.
for that.
Right.
Fair.
I like that. And now it's interesting because even in like internal communication, in text messages or emails, we're always talking about fair. I've made it a point that like fair is fair. Fair has its capital with the period. Hey, where are you going? Oh, to work on fair? Fair. And then it has like 2 periods and a question mark at the end.
So exciting.
It's gonna be busy. It's exciting.
It's gonna be like such a great alternative to the other circus, this
When's the date? What the date for those are what? The dates.
All right. Let me walk through the week. Monday, December 4th, Spinello has an opening at Spinello Projects, and that's gonna be our vernissage for Basel for the one that we're doing the locals preview now
in
next
the gallery
week.
in Little Haiti.
In the gallery in Little Haiti. Pinta opens on Tuesday, so that's Tuesday night, and then Wednesday I think it's a night. It's a night off at least. Thursday fair opens
at the Brickell City Center,
and then on Friday I have an opening at Clima Gallery. That's by the airport. And that's a solo show. And they have really great Brazilian art. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that they were here. They called, they were looking for someone to work with them. I went in, I was like, this is like top notch. This is great shit to have around Miami. And not a lot of people know. I mean, myself as a Brazilian, I didn't know.
You're more connected, yeah.
Right, and so it's good. It's gonna be exciting.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Alrighty, we're already at the end almost. There's time for my last question. Do you have something you really want to ask? It looks like that.
I had a question and then it escaped because you scared me. No, it's okay.
No, I'm so sorry.
You scared it away.
I may have a 10-minute answer for you. So
okay. No, because I was curious because, I feel like Art Basel, you have the weekend, you have like the brunches. So I'm like, what's going on the weekend for that itinerary?
I'm working. I don't know.
With the brunches?
And that was the same thing with last year. I'm not really sure. I haven't checked besides all the things that I have my hands on.
Yeah.
Sort of.
We're gonna
that's what I'm saying.
We're gonna have a big house.
We have a big house.
Oh, As usually, of course.
An annual Bakehouse post-Basel brunch. So my question is, I guess, do you get to see any of the fairs other than the stuff you're involved in, or since you're more or less in this I can't even say it for me. It's been a long day. No, managerial. Can you say it? It's just, it's been such, I've been up since like 5.
I had an early morning today and I never do.
Yes, same. It just knocks you out.
Yeah.
But like, do you get to see the other satellite fairs or the other shows? And there you go. Thanks. I'm like, tongue twister.
Probably not.
Right. And I've had, more than the probably not, I have done it all. And I'm exhausted at the end of it. So last year, I made it a point to not do anything. And I was with 5 different separate projects. And I did, pre-production and installation and work during the time and takedown and nighttime event planning. And I didn't have time. I mean, I decided not to because I would have not made it to the things that I had to be there for. But so this year we'll see. I'm not, but no, probably not.
It's tiring. Yeah.
All right, our very, very last question.
All right.
You've been sitting in a magical rocking chair all this time. And after this ordeal of our session, you are granted 3 wishes. You can wish for whatever you want, but you have to say it out loud. So
so I can't wish for whatever I want.
wish number 1.
To be able to continue working, doing what I do. Yeah, that's wish number 2. I'm gonna wish for health so I could keep doing. I don't know if
you don't want to mess up your knee again or stuff like that.
No, exactly. And just to have the strength to actually physically do things. I told you guys, I like playing with tools.
Yeah.
And things,
Set up.
And I've gotten myself sometimes into some setups that are more than I've hurt myself. Besides the knee thing. I got hurt hanging art.
You did.
Which is another story. It's just climbing on shit, like not being careful.
Yeah.
Wish number 3. I'm not gonna ask for world peace because I don't think we're gonna achieve that one. Not even if I wish really hard. Man, that's a hard one because I think I put the two important ones there. Work with what I like. Health. Oh, I'm gonna wish for a good smile. Even physically, even with the getting hurt, I would really be. I have my mouth open a lot of times, and if I hurt my teeth or if something happened that I couldn't smile, that would suck. So I always want to smile.
Wonderful wish.
That's a good one.
And listeners, we are just getting that smile, by the way.
She's been smiling throughout.
All over the place, yeah.
I do, yeah.
All the time.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much, Ananda, for coming.
Taking the time pre-Basel to come.
Thank you, ladies. This was
so
a pleasure. It was not painful at all.
As promised.
As promised.
Yeah.
Thank
nice
you,
and
Elisa.
easy.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Ananda, for coming out. And we will see you next week with volume 33.
We're going to be back next week. Thanks for tuning in again, and we're back next Monday.
Good night.
Good night. Bye, guys.